Good afternoon or hello early evening, depending on how you want to say it. Normally, well, this is a very early show for the Toon Review, but why not? It's full of news at Newcastle United, so when we can go live, we of course will, and we do have some names to bring you again on today's transfer show. Thank you to all the support I had on the video earlier on that I did regarding Arteta and Arsenal. It's doing really well. So if you want to have a look at that after the show, thank you very much for doing so. Usual terms apply. If you do enjoy tonight's show, please hit that like button. And of course, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, it's free to subscribe. Hit that red button. And of course, the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live. We upload a video or we schedule in a live show. And of course, you can donate to the Toon Review as usual. If you hit that $sign at the bottom of the live comments, that will take you through to a payment method that way. And of course, you can join by hitting that green button underneath that simply says join. And put yourself in with a lot of chances of winning some free stuff. We'll have a look at some of the comments before we get going. Nick says, good evening. Alice says, how are you all doing? Chipper says afternoon all apart from Ty the Bell End. Enough said about him. I had my say of you. Do you not know why that's said, Billy?
I don't know who Ty is. Who's Ty?
From our AFTV.
Oh, I don't watch that shite.
Well, no, and rightly so. He called our club a nothing club last night. He said Newcastle United are a nothing club. So I basically done a video slamming him and Arteta earlier on. He's an absolute prick. George says, hello, TTR. What a game last night. I can't see us finishing less than sixth at worst because of our defence. Alice says, what is the man? I only watched it yesterday. He is very good and so funny. Ty isn't. I hope you're talking about us, actually. Alice, I hope you are. Toon lads and lasses, how we doing? Jock, good evening. Hope the salty one is watching. Well, that could apply to many different fans and managers across the UK and pundits alike. Foster says apparently that 18-year-old right back is basically a done deal. Buzzing looks the real deal and a good young prospect. Well, we will come on to him in a minute, of course. Fresneda from Rayo Valladolid. I had to do my video today a couple of times because I said Valladolid completely wrong. You know what I'm like with names. I was saying and just couldn't get it out. Cesare, the usual rules from the mods, guys. Respectful, no caps, all duplicates. Enjoy the show. Indeed. Pilo Keith, good evening. Carl, good evening. Trolls, good evening to you. Josh wants to know who we're signing. Well, we don't know. We're not in the know. All we'll do is give you an idea of who's been linked. But this Fresneda one seems to have pretty much grown and grown and grown. Peter says, talk radio host Gabby at Bangor reckons Arteta was right to behave like that. Well, doesn't that just say it all? Doesn't that just say it all coming from him? Rachel, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Josh, good evening. Well, is it evening or afternoon? I didn't bloody know. I know it's dark outside, so do we class that as evening? I don't know. Foster says, just due, we are signing 18-year-old right back Fresneda first by the sounds of it. Pedro says, good evening, TTR family. Hope everyone is great. Keep up the excellent work, lads. And when is the new female host starting? They're not. Look, we had Jade, and she was superb. And Jade's still a big friend of the channel, and still speak to Jade. And Danielle, well, she's just in she's part of the rack and ruins of the Toon Review. She's always going to be there. We're not replacing Danielle. You never know. One day Danielle might think, yeah, I'm ready to come back, and I'm missing it. So we're not going to replace her. It wouldn't be right, and it wouldn't feel right. We'll have guests on from time to time, obviously, no problem with that. But we won't be replacing Danielle with any other hosts. James says, hello, all you lovely TTR people. Hope I am not jinxing anything, but 20 games unbeaten in all competitions. Come on, the Toon. Simon says, if we sign Fresneda, I think he is being allowed back to Valladolid for the remainder of the season and join us. I've never seen that.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that mentioned, to be honest.
Brian, is he a right back? Is he a right back, this Fresneda?
Yeah.
Makes absolutely no sense to get a right back and then loan him back when Kraft will be fit at the beginning of next season. Makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, it means we'll have to do something with Manquillo.
Yeah.
But also Trippier. I mean, Trippier might not play every single game till the end of the season. So and I'd rather have Fresneda coming in and helping out. Peter says, evening, boys, and all you lovely people in the chat. I've waited 50 years to see Newcastle get to the top, so I'm buzzing. Alex's Fresneda links are strong, so I hope we can get him. Also, if we could get anyone instead of Maddison, I'd get Varela, since we can then push Bruno upfield and rotate Joe Linton and Willock. Rotate Joe Linton? Rotate? Oh, no. I'm not having Joe Linton rotated, I tell you. Simon says, breaking news, NUFC are, after a long chase, they are no longer interested in signing Bas Dost. I got quite a surprise. I was playing, I had a little go on FIFA yesterday, believe it or not, I did. I've just bought an Xbox Series X, which, by the way, is fantastic, unbelievable. It's got everything on it that you could possibly want. And I'm playing as Ajax in the Eredivisie. And I think I came up against, was it Utrecht? And Bas Dost scored against me.
It's about 30 pace, ain't he?
Oh, God.
Pace on FIFA?
I mean, it's something like that. But he outran my centre-back. This is after 2 minutes before a report coming on the screen saying he was struggling with an injury. He goes and runs half the length of the pitch and scores. I mean, I walloped him in the end. But, I mean, he's still around, guys. He's still going. Jules says, from what I've heard, we will have to loan him back for the rest of the season. I haven't heard that. I really haven't heard that, but we'll see. Evening, chaps. Good evening to you, overthinking underthinker. That's a bit of a tongue twister. 4 points off Arsenal over the last home and away games. No wonder they're pissed. Seattle Geordie, good afternoon to you over there in the States. Mitchie, good evening. Paul Sales. Sean says, evening, everyone. Looking forward to the show. Paul, you must mention Chris Wood's poor one-on-one last night. Shocking football. It was offside. It's not even worth mentioning, and plus it'll put me blood pressure up again. And I'm feeling all right after last night. It was a busy commentary and then a match review straight after. I was knackered after those streams, and the last thing I want to think about is Chris Wood on a one-on-one, because the blood pressure goes through the roof again, and it's crazy. Ken says, hi, Paul and TDR family. Hope you have some top players to review, and hopefully some news on who we are going to sign. And I know you're not in the know. Thank you very much. Connor says, I don't see us signing anyone in January due to FFP. Even if we can't complain. It's been unreal since the takeover. Connor, we've got plenty of FFP in hand. We didn't sign anyone for 15 years, man. No way. Anyone? I mean, Alex, we did a FFP show. We've got plenty to spend as it is at the minute.
I mean, we've definitely got room to spend. I don't know why you've said that, because there's definitely something to spend. That was a strange comment, unless you've been living under a rock. We might not go and spend what Chelsea are spending, and rightly so. We haven't got the revenue to do that, but we'll spend something.
Well, we'll have the revenue soon, though.
We will.
Because
we will indeed.
The club is expanding like a condom, put it that way, or a balloon. I'll say a balloon. What the hell? Hasbro Dog says, hi, how are you doing? We're good. Never seen as many whinging videos as I have today. That game really hurt the arseholes. David, good afternoon. All thanks for all your work, sharing info at this busy Toon time. Yeah, I've been sat in my office all day doing a video, thumbnails for the future shows. It's amazing. I just say to Susan, right, I'm off and I'm into my studio and that's it. The office door's closed and get to work. Busy day indeed. Because a lot goes on behind the scenes, believe it or not, of a YouTube channel, especially one that's grown like we are. Nick says, hi, lads. I'm loving how salty the so-called top six are getting. Let's keep upsetting them. You got a bit of salt there, Billy, tonight? I know you had a bit last night. Yes, there it is. Libertino Radio, good evening. Pedro says, Joe White going out on loan to Exeter, apparently. Yes, I've heard that one. That's a good move for Joe White, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, these young lads need minutes, so get them out. Get them playing. They're not. The development games aren't competitive enough, in my opinion. So I know there was an attempt to restructure the youth leagues and have they've done a lot to try and make it more competitive, and it just it isn't. So get them out on loan.
Absolutely. And news this afternoon that Heart of Midlothian are apparently interested in Garankuol to take on loan. I'm not sure. I think, is that a good move, Billy, do you think? Or because Eddie Howe did state he wanted him to go to a good club with a really good manager, didn't he?
It's 2 competitive games a season for 3 if you count Hibs. For Hearts, maybe it would work for him. He's only a young lad. The Rangers and Celtic games will be big games, wouldn't it? So, yeah, maybe it will work.
Yeah,
if nothing else comes out.
Yeah, again, we'll see because they're not going to rush the decision on Kuol at all. They're going to take the time, which is the right thing to do. Walid says thoughts on Quentin Merlin from Nantes as our future left back. Very forward-minded player and reminds me of Trippier. I've seen Quentin Merlin a couple of times, actually. He does look a very good left back.
I think you'll find his name's Quentin Merlin.
I'm sorry?
Quentin Merlin.
Well, that's the French way of putting it.
I've got over French.
Bollocks to you. But didn't you start getting like him up there? Honestly, putting bloody... we'll have 2 connoisseurs of languages shortly. Devlin, good evening to you. Mark says, what happened to Ashby? Is he supposed to be going to a tribunal? I don't know. We haven't heard anything on Ashby at the minute. Listen, according to the West Ham fans, they were convinced that was a done deal and that he's coming to Newcastle, but we don't know. We don't know yet. Kungle Fox says, if we get Tielemans, see, I said Mons. Alex, notice I didn't just say Tielemans, I said Tielemans. Would he play in a double pivot with Bruno, or would it push Bruno up further? I think Tielemans would be in front of Bruno, Alex.
Yeah, I'd see him as playing where Longstaff's currently playing, in my opinion, unless we change formation, which this is one of the things that we've not considered. If we do bring in 2 or 3 players with more technical quality, he might change his formation.
Yeah.
He might be stuck to this because of the personnel available. Or I'm wrong, and he loves this system, and he's going to recruit specifically for this formation and system. I don't know. It could be either. Yeah. These are the kinds of questions I really wish that journalists would ask instead of.
They never do they? They never, ever do. It's really annoying.
I know.
Maybe we should send one of us in. We'd soon ask the proper questions. Chinglish says, my wife is the only Chinese Newcastle supporter. I know she will be your new female host. Dear me. Not saying this is going to happen at all, but what's your thoughts on Moussa Diaby? It's gone very quiet on him, to be honest, hasn't it? It really has. It's pretty much dead in the water.
Miggy's form and that side of the attack being so good has made it less of a priority. If Miggy would, if I could create tenses, if in a different scenario where Miggy scored 0 goals at this point in the season, then I think they panic and they go all out. Well, not panic, but they do continue with their plans for right wing. But because of Miggy's form, maybe they're shifting priority slightly because we've got a few places to improve. So
indeed. Ab says Paul does need to build bridges with the Chinese community. Do I? What do you mean true? Jesus. Good evening, James. Another James says should make a short video of Paul trying to pronounce difficult names. I would be no better at it. No, I don't suppose people would.
I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I get laughed at for pronouncing them right, and you get laughed at for pronouncing them wrong. So
exactly. Jan says, here you go, Paul. It's Valladolid. Oh, God. It's Valladolid. It's classed as Valladolid. I'm pretty sure I've got that right.
It is,
yeah. Spike Milligan, thank you for your 20 quid super chat. He says, evening TTR family, for everyone's good. Enjoyed your earlier video, putting the Arsenal in their place. How are the lads and lasses? Thanks, Spike. Richie says, I love the fact opposing fans in the division are getting rattled with our style of play. We are here to stay, so get used to it. One thing, though, Billy, our style of play is, it depends who we play against. And this is why Eddie Howe is so good, because our style of play, we can play beautiful flow and attacking football, but we can also play defensive football. And look how much Jose Mourinho won by playing defensively. Simeone, a fantastic manager, plays defensively. But we can play expansive attacking football when we want to. But last night's game dictated that we had to be more defensive.
100%. And we only got a point to the game against Man City at home, which was, attacking football to the nth degree. And in fact, it cost us in the end. If we'd have sat in our shell and tried to dig in like we did against Arsenal, we'd probably beat them. But it's what time, it's what's happened at the time. Arsenal on the front foot last night. We had to dig in. Simple as that. If we'd have tried to attack them, we'd have probably got beat. So I think it's great that we've got both sides of the coin to play with. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Tony says he likes the subscriber count last night. Yeah, it was going up quite a lot through the. We've had a massive amount of subscribers, which is fabulous. It really is, and it's thanks to you guys out there. It's we put the shows out, but just pleased that you like them. So thank you very much. I had a lot of comments on the graphics for the watch along screen, which was really good. Thank you. Yandel says, "Good evening, everyone. Has anyone bought any tissues for Arteta?" Some of the memes and gifs that I've seen about Arteta and crying and stuff like that, and I pinched a good one to go onto the thumbnail that I did for the video this afternoon, with the teary eyes of just crazy. Andrew says, "Good afternoon, Toon Gang. Alex, I suggest you don't model your hair off Arteta anymore. He's a pleb."
I mean, he's got a Lego haircut. I think you could just take it off in one piece.
He does. He looks like, when he's interviewed in press conferences, it looks like he's an animated version of Arteta. It's bizarre. Just as after last night's game, we need more quality up top. It's clear we're lacking depth coming off the bench to help up top, in my opinion. I agree with that, but Mr. Isak's back in training, and he's been photographed in training as well. So he's really there. Alex, you're shaking your head.
I don't think that was the problem yesterday. I think the problem was Wilson wasn't 100% fit, and we didn't have the technical quality in midfield to help the attacks. Like, as when Maxi came on, we were in a phase of the game where we couldn't utilise him anyway. He just had to do his job, so I don't think the attack was the issue. It was it was the technical quality behind the attack. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the attack at all.
No. Well, first half, Billy, we went hammer and tongue at them. It was very entertaining first half, and we had opportunities ourselves. It's amazing how much Arsenal are making of this penalty incident with Dan Burn, yet he was fouled in the first half. And also the penalty incident should never have come around anyway, because it was never a free kick.
Yellow card as well, which was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Mickey got booked for standing on the white line straight after. It's even more.
And then didn't actually move, and the referee played on. I mean, how mad is that? Mental. Mike says, "Do you think Fresneda play on the left, or what about Trippier?" No, I think they're both full right hand side. We're gone are the days of putting square pegs in round holes, guys. We don't do that anymore at Newcastle United.
It's the right-footed, right-sided right back.
Absolutely,
we'll play on the right.
Yeah. And don't come at me saying, "Well, Dan Burns playing at left back. He's left-footed, guys." I mean, that's where he's played before as well, so it's not like Dan Burn is new to the left back position. James says Kevin Schade signed for Brentford. Okay. I don't think I've heard of him. No. Good evening, Tom. Paul says, "Did you happen to see what?" Let's not get. If you want to know if I saw what Ty said, go and watch the earlier video today after the show, Paul, and you'll know if I've heard it. A lot of comments about Ty coming in. Sai says, "Can you imagine a midfield of Varela, Bruno, and J7? That would be a perfect companion with our defence." Yes. But let's put the first player up of this show, and it is, well, what a surprise!
Yeah, we've got to look at him again, purely because of the links. So there's a lot of random accounts / freelance journalists suggesting that this is done or close to being done. The fee is, I've seen anywhere from 6 million euros up to 14, 15 million euros, and everybody seems to just write it in euros. So I haven't the foggiest what is on the money in terms of price or whether it's even true, but there's lots of different places and lots of different sources reporting that he's, the deal is close. There is a picture of Nixon with his agent, so it's not just rumours and in the nose. There does seem to be something in this, I would imagine. It would be surprising if not. So yeah, Ivan Fresneda, born in Madrid, originally from the Real Madrid youth setup. He didn't start in Valladolid, so he's moved there. Is only 18 years old. We've looked at him once before. Unfortunately, he's played another game since then. He actually played against his old club in Real Madrid, and he did very, very well. We don't have too many minutes to go off this season. 5 starts, 7 appearances, 558 minutes. And if we scroll down, look at that interesting little feature, as we've noted before, that his closest statistical match is Matt Target, which is quite funny.
Interesting.
And if we scroll down, his last couple of matches have done quite a bit to improve his defensive contributions. Top 1% for tackles is pretty mental. It's only 500 minutes, but even so, he's averaging 3.7 tackles per 90, which is pretty monstrous. And he's spiking in the right areas for an 18-year-old in terms of pass completion rate is quite tidy. Shot creating actions is important. As a fullback, he's setting teammates up in good areas to go and take on shots and have dangerous opportunities. XA is very good, so expected assisted goals. This is what he should be getting assist-wise. Is quite high for a fullback as well, which is nice. The defensive work is very good, along with the progressive passes received. So this is essentially him receiving the ball very high up in the pitch, out on that right-hand side, over 3 times per 90. Incredibly high. And now we're going to have a look at his sofa score. Hang on, I'll scroll back up so we can see his little account. Oh, what? We didn't do his height, did we? What is it in real money? What's his height?
Well, I know what's completely wrong, Alex. I know what's completely wrong there. His player value,
yeah,
€1 million.
I'm not sure we're going to get that for that. Quick, let's tank it down a little bit more. Press the button. 183 centimeters. I think that's about 6 foot. 5'11", 6 foot, something like that. Probably 5'11". So yeah. Let's scroll down and have a look at some games. So this is the game I was just on about, his most recent one, which was played. Do we have the date? We do. Yeah, the 30th. So the 30th of this month just gone, of December. We have a look at the lineups. They did lose 2-0, but he put in an absolutely gargantuan effort, this kid. Up against Vinicius Jr. on the left wing, subbed off with a 6.2 rating. And then he's... he got the joint second best rating on his team in the right back position. One thing to note is they were playing a 4-4-2, but in the last few months they've swapped to a 4-3-3, which is also how we play. So something to note. Yeah. So let's go and have a look at his rating for this Real Madrid game. I can't scroll in anymore. So a little bit doing his defensive job there on the heat map. You can see he was pinned back quite a lot.
Yeah. You wouldn't expect him to be in a forward role against Real Madrid, to be honest, when you're playing with Valladolid.
Just, I won't even say it. Read the tackles and interceptions.
Tackles were 8, interceptions 2, Alex. Awesome.
Yeah, 8.
Awesome.
8 is, whenever we... So for people who watch all the reviews when we have a look, Bruno, Joe Linton, all of these players are getting 4 and 5, possibly 6 if they've had a good game. Yeah. This kid's got 8 tackles, 2 interceptions. Fair enough. It was very likely that it was because it was Real Madrid and they were having to do far more defending. But even so, this kid's 18 years old. He's a young lad. He's putting in 10 out of 15 ground duels. He's drawing 2 fouls. He's putting in all the hard work in the tackles. He's getting the rating for it. Still very competent passing accuracy, considering where he was playing and probably how difficult that was. Because we saw against Arsenal how congested it was, how hard it was to get to fullbacks and to get it out for those fullbacks, especially if you remember Dan Burn. How hard was it for Dan Burn to try and find someone? Incredibly hard. So this kid was managing that reasonably well. 4 accurate long balls as well. You know, we need a right back to be essentially a Trippier understudy. And this kid is young enough and talented enough to potentially have that with his energy, with his technical ability and his determination, his eye for tackles and defensive work is really, really interesting. If we scroll across as well, he's not played much recently. So have a look at his Copa del Rey game, which was a while ago, to be fair. That was in November, but we can only look at what we look at. We can't actually look at the stats of the friendlies, unfortunately, so I can't, get much from it. But we scroll down, and we'll have to have a look. So he didn't start this. I think he came on as a sub. Excuse me. We have him here. And you can look at his heat map, the positions he's trying to take up. Very, very high up. Very, very aggressive. He's always trying to make a lot of crosses as well. So crosses there. He attempted 5 that game. Only found a teammate once, but he's constantly constantly high up, constantly overlapping, trying lots of crosses, very, very high work rate, which is what we want for our team. Again, not great, 1 out of 6 duels there, but again, he's 18. He will grow. He will definitely grow somewhat. And then against Athletic Club. Where is he? There he is. He started this game with a 6.8. Lovely heat map again. You can see exactly. He's got a very. You can see exactly what his role is, and he performs that consistently. Again, 5 tackles in this game with a block shot, dribble pass once, 6 out of 8 ground duels. Again, for somebody who's 18, you love it. You love to see when they're actually tackling and winning their duels against a league of men, essentially. You know that.
Yeah.
And we've played against this Bilbao team, so we know they're no pushovers. We only beat them 1-0 in our friendly. So, again, nice and tidy with the passes, trying 3 crosses, none of them came off. Got the long ball. We have a look at his transfer marks. A bit odd that he's linked with us twice. There's two of our teams apparently. Probability of transfer 100% and 30% to us. He's got some caps at youth level for Spain as well. 4 for the under 19s, 2 for the under 18s. And his agent is Epic Sports. So if we have a look at Epic Sports, not a huge firm based in Portugal. They got Emerson Royale. They got Usman, the Iranian forward, who's quite good, and not too many others. So not super high representation. There you go. You got all the. If anybody wants to message the agent, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But you've got all of the people from the
agency
from the
itself.
Company there. You've literally got all the agents, attorneys. So I mean, this is mostly how in the nose and freelance people do their job. Is they'll just go and text and annoy all of these people. That's how they do it.
I might start doing that. I might start emailing them all saying, "Look, give us some crack." I mean, Billy certainly a player that would improve our squad.
Absolutely, and those defensive figures are outstanding for an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
aren't they? They really are. They're outstanding. And this is the kind of player we want in to learn from the best. Kieran Trippier is going to coach him on, isn't he?
Yeah.
And when Kieran steps down in 2 or 3 years, the Remo plays straight in for him. So yeah, it'd be ideal signing. The defensive figures are outstanding. They're really outstanding, to be honest. Really good.
I mean, it isn't from a large sample size, but he can only
play
what's in front of him.
Cool.
Yeah, it is quite good.
And who better to bring him on than Eddie Howe? I mean, just guys, we've got Prince Tyler back with us, our Arsenal friend. He says, don't you think that it is very delusional, and a mirage for Newcastle fans to be so confident of winning the Premier League ahead of Arsenal? When has anybody said that?
Nobody said that.
No. Again, Prince Tyler. Yeah,
we're very aware of that. We know if we get like Trippier and Bruno injured, we'll barely keep pace. We're very aware of that. We're not stupid.
Yeah, I think you need to go back to play with your cardboard socks, mate. Bede says our next 8 games are televised. We have arrived. Dan says rumours of Elliot Anderson and Kual to Preston.
Well, we've got links with them because of obviously
Freddie Woodman.
That's the one. Name completely disappeared out of my brain there.
You could tell there. That would be an interesting move, I'm sure. I think Championship. I'd rather him go to the Championship than Scotland, to be honest. I really do. Toon lad, we need depth in this window. Jandal says, walk past the Emirates Stadium tonight on way home from work, laughing my heat off. Crybabies. Simon says he'd stick Kual in the squad for Sheffield Wednesday. Well, he may well be. I mean, you know what Eddie's like. He throws curveballs left, right, and centre.
Depends how he trains and if he's jet lagged and
James Welch made a comment earlier on about Garang Kual going to Burnley would be a good one with under Vincent Kompany.
Not a bad shout.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's fantastic. I think that would be a really Kual Reading on loan nearly done. Reading?
Lots of Championship clubs. I don't think Reading would be the place to go,
though. No. Eddie did stay
a
good manager. Yeah. Solo says that Thai comment made me laugh that we are a nobody club this season. Does that mean the other 17 teams below us are nobody clubs? The guy is a tool. Keith says Botman could piss the bed and still wake up with a clean sheet. Yep,
I saw that on Twitter.
That's been going around today, without a doubt. Sad news about David Gould, of course, passing away today. Really sad news. And you know what? I think Birmingham City fans will probably rue the day that they forced them out of the club, to be honest, because it's all gone wrong since they left. But listen, whatever you think of David Gould, for me, he was a football man. He did a lot of good. He made some mistakes as well, no doubt. But very sad news that he's passed away today. And our thoughts and regards and prayers go out to his friends and family from the channel. Really sad. Mitchie says, I've seen a few sources talking about us going in for Ferland Mendy from Real Madrid. What sources are they? Are they HP? Are they Brown source?
I mean, we did him on a review show recently because there were some soft links, but it seems a non-starter. 200,000 euros a week wages, contracted until 2027. No.
Tom's asking if there's any news on Fernando Callas. Not that we know of at the minute. Again, you get players coming, being rumoured to be coming to Newcastle, and then all of a sudden it dies down. But then there's some players that don't die down. That the rumours and the reports are that they're heavily linked.
He's a journalist, by the way.
Sorry?
He's a journalist. I think he's asking about news.
Yeah, I'm just about other players, though. You've got to sort of, with Newcastle now, there's going to be hundreds of players linked, but there's only going to be 4 or 5 that those links actually stay around and stick. But until the clubs say anything, it's all just rumours, to be honest. And but that's what we look at, what they could bring to the club. Lewis says, if Maddison is to come to us, how do you think Howe would utilise him, on the right or in the midfield 3?
Both.
Billy, what do you reckon?
Both. Depends on who's fit, who's not.
There you go. A straightforward answer from Billy Bob Coleman.
It'd be the same as how Joe Linton and Willock are rotating. I imagine how fluid that would be. Maddison in midfield to Miggy. They could just sort of mirror depending on what is most appropriate for that phase and who's got the ball.
Absolutely.
We could have it on both sides and be so incredibly balanced. It would be unreal.
I mean, the thing is, right, with Miggy and Maddison, I think signing Maddison would be tremendous for Miggy's game because, like you've just explained there, the mirror, and it would enable Miggy to come a bit more central sometimes and know that
Miggy
Maddison's going out wide.
He's either got Maddison or Trippier to play him in.
Absolutely.
And that's his triangle to play with. You can't ask for much more technically gifted than those two to pass to you.
Without a doubt. Andrew says, people say Big Joe missed a sitter, but did you see how fast the ball was going at it? That wasn't a sitter.
Yeah,
that
was a hard shot.
What was a sitter was Callum Wilson's. I've watched that again a couple of times today. And basically, Billy, that was just, he should have just side foot. He missed it completely.
Yeah, and very unlike him, wasn't he? He didn't kind of convict himself to go for the ball with 100%, did he? Whether he was too knackered by that time, who knows? Maybe I'm trying to make excuses for him, but yeah, generally he'd have put his foot through that and scored. Yeah,
absolutely. Spudsy says we're horrible to play against last night. Absolutely, and that was the whole point. Do you agree with people, Billy, saying that Eddie Howe, got the better of the tactics against Arteta because Arteta expected us to come out and play the same attacking football as Arsenal, but when we didn't, Arteta didn't have a plan B to try and change it to break us down?
Yeah, I do agree, 100%. Yeah. He had people on the bench. He could have brought on more creative players. He could have brought Vieira on. He didn't. I think he only made 2 subs, didn't he? Or was it 1 sub? Just the Ben White sub for Tommy Ashley, wasn't it? Didn't make any of those, did he?
Yeah,
so he didn't change anything up at all. Yeah, I think he definitely did. He wasn't expecting that last night. And to a certain extent, had they have not been so progressive, because they were up the pitch quite a lot, Arsenal, we might have had a go at them, but we couldn't. We couldn't get on the front foot at all. So we were forced to go into our kind of formation.
But we did have a different game, didn't we, Billy? We did have a different approach to the game. Second half, Eddie's obviously said it at half time, they will come out at us. We will change our game to accommodate that, to play like this. And it worked perfectly. Good evening. Where's Danielle gone? She stepped down for the moment from the channel, but she's still in the chat. She's still around, so don't worry. You never know. what the future might hold. Tom says, I think Saturday's game might be another tough game with Sheffield Wednesday lying second in League One. Yeah, it'll be a tough game, but listen, we sit in third in the Premier League. You know, it's all right saying they're sitting second in League One. We're third in the Premier League. This is a game we should be winning. You know, there's no doubt in my eyes. And I think he will make changes, but I don't think he'll make wholesale changes. I think there's a lot of that first 11 will still play on Saturday. Sven Botman is the next Jaap Stam. A bargain for 35 million. Oh, a bargain, I think, is incredibly justified there. Absolute quality player. Peter says, assault from Arsenal fans is unreal. Was reading the comments on the game on different clips and videos. A Pender at Lars would be a great replacement for Wilson when the time comes, says Spencer. There's quite a few decent strikers kicking about, actually. Revenger says, I just imagine that we paid Burnley £25 million for Pope and 10 million for Wood. Yeah, that's a better way of looking at it, without a shadow of a doubt. 10 million pound for Nick Pope, man. That is just what a bargain. Most Arsenal fans wanted Arteta out last season. They're a very fickle bunch. Fickle, yes, without a doubt. Darren says, no surprise about Arsenal fans. They're one of the most deluded and entitled bunch. The way they talk about other clubs is always disgusting. Yeah, I've started to notice that quite recently, actually. Keith says, how many years have we yearned for a defence like we have now? Many.
All of
many. Yeah, absolutely. Alan says, I've heard a rumour that Ashby is waiting to see if West Ham will come back with a good offer to stay and possibly using Newcastle as leverage. Look, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But what I will say is he's a good player. And if we can get him, we've signed a quality young kid. Now, the fact that he is a young right back and obviously we're very heavily linked with Fresneda, does that mean that it's put Harrison Ashby off a little bit, Alex? Don't say anything about the way I pronounced his name, because I know you were smirking again. Just get on with the comment and forget what I just said.
Potentially. I think it's impossible to speculate because it could be 20, 30 different reasons. It could be the Ashby links were not even true to begin with. It could be that he was linked once upon a time and it was a no-no back then. It could be he's not keen, West Ham aren't keen, we're not keen, we've got other options. It could be a million different reasons and it's impossible for us to know. So yeah, I don't know what to comment because it could be any of the above.
Exactly. Ian says here, Paul, when we stop Arsenal winning the league at home in May, invite Ty on the review show. He wouldn't dare come on. Imagine if it was Isak one-on-one against Ramsdale yesterday. Well, yeah, Isak probably would have stayed on side as well. So, we have that. Ab says to be competing with Arsenal shows how ahead of the project plan we are. Thought top 8 would be a good achievement this year. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, Billy. Everybody knows that we're ahead of schedule or ahead of where everybody thought we might be.
I think we might have been thought we'd compete with Arsenal. But I think Arsenal are ahead of their schedule as well. I don't think they expect to be top of the league by 8 points this time of year either. So, you can kind of go down that route as well. They're ahead as well as we're further ahead in our project, obviously. But Arsenal are ahead in theirs, so I don't think they expect, like I just said, to be top of the league. So, yeah, I think we'd have been within our rights to expect to be close to Arsenal this year, but not where we are on the table, third and first.
Yeah, indeed. Alex, who's next?
We have Mr. Varela.
Yes.
So have we looked at him on the show? I'm not sure we have we?
I don't know. I can't.
I don't think we have.
If we have, it was a while ago.
Well, he needs to be looked at. I think we got linked with him at the back end of the show. We mentioned it in passing. But anyway, we're going to look at him again because the links are still alive. So why not? 21-year-old defensive midfielder for Boca Juniors in Argentina. He is largely rumoured to be who Benfica were eyeing up to replace Enzo Fernandez when he disappears to Chelsea or wherever he ends up if it's not agreed. There's Barcelona fans also whinging about the fact that they might not get him. Boca Juniors fans already putting lots of stuff on the internet about, they're going to be really sad when Varela leaves. because they are kind of resigned to the fact he's going to go to a top club because he is incredible. So he's kind of that build that you would imagine when we looked at who's the Ajax midfielder we looked at again. I forgot his name. Alvarez. Yeah, he's similar kind of. Not a massive number 6, not a huge defensive midfielder, just a lot more sort of robust and technical. Similar to how Bruno is in a way. He's not huge, but he's able to, play quite well. 1,800 minutes in the first division, and then the Libertadores is 500 minutes as well. So lots of appearances this season. If we scroll down, it's difficult to take much note from these because this is based on 500 minutes in the competitions that he's played in, and it's comparing him to his peers in and around leagues in South America or leagues in Argentina. It's a lot harder for me to say whether this is any good or not. As a rule of thumb, completing 87% of your passes is quite good. Nothing stands out massively. The fact that he's having a good amount of shots per game as a defensive midfielder is quite tidy as well. Seems quite competent on the ball. But these stats, it doesn't necessarily show the whole picture at all. So let's go and have a look at his SOFA score. We can get a better idea there. So this is him. This is Alan Varela. 177. What's that? About 5'10", just under 5'10".
Hang on. Have I still got me?
Last one it was 5'9.5", didn't it?
Yeah. 177 centimeters. Let's have a look at it.
It said on the last screen 5'9.5". Sure it did.
Well, I'm 176 and I'm about 5'9.5", so I think he's about 5'9.5" ish.
Well, according to this, 177 centimeters, guys, is 5'10".
Okay. Let's press down on that. So long ball strength, definitely. This is one of the funny leagues with lots of red cards. So this is a cluster of fixtures at the start of the season. We've got August, September. And if we have a look at one of his better games, nice and consistent ratings here, nothing through the roof. But again, to be a metronome defensive midfielder, you don't always need to be going and
what those little red squares mean, Alex? He ain't been sent off in 3 games in 4, has he?
Where are the red squares that you're seeing?
Next to the scores, the other side of this, there where you are now.
They're yellow, Billy.
I think you're colourblind. These are yellow cards.
Sort of orange here. Sort of orange on
Well, yeah, they're kind of orange. Actually, they're not bright yellow. They're definitely orange, but I wouldn't say red, Billy.
So 4-3-3 again with him in midfield. Let's scroll across and have a look. Crazy heat map here. Lots of work in the midfield. Crazy stats for passing again. 65 out of 72 passes. 7 out of 9 long balls. So he's integral in build. Well, not just build up, but crazy balls over the top essentially. Duels are quite tidy. He's mucking in there where it's important. If we let's go to a few more recent games. So this is the more recent page. I think this is the one I showed you guys off the stream. This was Boca Juniors against Racing Club. This was in November.
Oh, this was the mad game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if I showed this off camera or not. It might have been off camera when we weren't live, but yeah, we were linked with him, and I think we had a little look after the last show, and we saw all of this madness. I think he got sent off as well. He got a double booking. So whenever we look at these players from these leagues, I always see a game like this. It just descends into chaos. There's like a million players sent off. It's hilarious. So let's go to a real game, another one, and get some idea. How was this game? No, not stats, lineups. So he played a funny 4-3-3, kind of with a wonky one, similar to how Sociedad play. He is sat behind there in the defensive role. Nice heat map to suggest exactly where he is on most of his. This is very similar to how Bruno plays. I mean, Bruno is a little bit higher up with his heat map generally. Again, another game where he's 90%. If you go and click on, if anybody likes using SOFA score, you can go and click on most of these, and his passing accuracy is very similar. Yet another game where he's 5 out of 6 long balls, 90% accuracy, very, very comfortable on the ball. Just a really, really solid player.
Yeah.
And this guy is heavily rumored to be sort of one of the best young defensive midfielders in South America. A lot of people are buzzing about him. This is his transfer marks because why not? So 2 appearances for the under-20 Argentina team. They did. I had to translate that because he's got a German agent / agency that represents him. So for some reason that's in German. That is the date of his last contract extension. So they re-extended him in August until 2026, Christmas 2026. So he's got a reasonably long contract, which is annoying, but his valuation seems quite low. But you know what they're like. They're quite happily, English club comes in. Oh, sorry, we were going to whack 30, 40 million extra on that price. So we'll have to wait and see. And this is the agency here. I had a little look. So they are based in Germany. And the majority of their players that they represent seem to be at European teams, which is good for us. So it seems to be a kind of agency that brings talent over, potentially. They've got a lot of Germans on the books, as to be expected. So the highest value players, they've got Jose Maria Jimenez from Atletico Madrid, and they've got Angelino, who's at Hoffenheim. And then the third highest value player is Alan Varela himself. So, yeah, and they do a lot of work in Europe. There's a lot of their players at German clubs. Sprinklings of essentially German and South Americans on their books. So they've obviously got experience of bringing them to Europe.
What I would say, Alex, is the valuation is a little bit 10 million.
Low. It is a little bit low. Yeah, I agree. It is rather low. I don't know why.
However, if you look at the comparisons of the players he's compared with, is it low? I mean,
that's a good idea.
They're pretty low, but low ceiling.
As you can see, it's a strange comparison. I don't know why he's compared to Championship players. It might be.
That's what I thought.
They might have been comparing strength of league. It might be to do with league rankings.
Yeah.
I'd need to maybe email them or see if there's anything in the details about how they compare players and clubs now. Now they've changed to Opta. So I think maybe they're comparing like comparative strength of leagues across the world and maybe ranking them, because you've got Huddersfield, Swansea, you've got some
Cardiff.
I would imagine these are in the Mexican leagues. Atletico San Luis. We've got Sao Paulo. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it. I don't know many of these players. So,
well, Sporting Kansas City is definitely MLS, isn't it? So,
yes, I would. Well, sounds like it. So yeah, that's Varela. I think personally, from everything I've seen so far, he's not playing at the moment. The season's, there's nothing to watch. I can't go and watch a game of him, but from what I've seen in terms of highlights of games he's been in, obviously the highlights do show the best bits, but he does seem like he's got the potential to be an elite defensive midfielder. He's rated as such in South America, and there's a lot of buzz about him. Yeah, I think it could be a good coup. I like this one. I like this one. I think it would be a lot cheaper than going in for some of the other alternatives as well.
Yeah.
So,
Secret Carpet says, I can see Roberto Firmino on the transfer market soon. What's your thoughts? I'm not sure where Firmino would fit into the. I mean, Firmino's been a good player, but is he still what he was? I don't think so.
I'd take him, but I don't think Eddie Howe would take him.
Yeah.
Like, imagine in the final half an hour of that game against Arsenal, if we'd got Firmino on the bench, when Willock and Longstaff's legs were going, to have somebody of that quality to be able to come on. If I was a manager, I would take him for a year or two, but Eddie Howe might not agree with that. That's fair enough.
Well, we looked at him in the summer, didn't we? We looked at him in the summer, and I was amazed to see his pressing stats. I didn't think he pressed at all, but his stats are absolutely amazing for pressing. Yeah. So yeah, he would fit into the system.
Yeah. Tom says, what would you do with Shelvey? Would you cash in for him now, or would you keep him? Well, I don't think anybody would buy him now, Tom, with the injury he's got. I don't presume that he would pass a medical with the seriousness of his injury. So I don't think it'd be. I don't think anybody would be sniffing around for Shelvey at the minute. That's a certainty.
It's out of contract at the end of the season as well, isn't he? So
he is, yeah. Unless he gets these 2 games, which puts the extension on, doesn't it? Paul says, Man United have just played Forest, Wolves and Bournemouth. It's no wonder they're coming on all struggling teams. They have City and Arsenal next. Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday, Billy, didn't you? Just, let's see where they are when they play some of the better teams in the league.
And then they were fortunate against Wolves, and they had a dodgy a goal disallowed against them, which had never been against Forest, although they win it quite easily. But yeah, they're not as great as what people are making them out to be.
No. Stiff Gator says, this is the kid that Barca fans say is their next Busquets. Yes, It is.
Yeah, there's a few of them as well.
So I don't know how you would know. Doesn't Alan Varela have massive disciplinary and alcohol problems?
I haven't seen that. It's possible, but
I mean, most Argentinian players in that league have disciplinary problems because, like we've just seen, they're 6 off in one game.
It's like rugby, isn't it? Really, more than football at times. Lee says it's a shame that Bruno isn't given a free role like Odegaard gets in games. Doug says, love the way Howe looked so relaxed watching Arteta making a clop of himself. I like the way you've put that, a clop of himself. Yes, he certainly did. Rich says, imagine what Varela can do. What Bruno can do with Varela taking the number 6 position. Frightening having both of them in midfield with Maddison and Joe Linton. Oh, licking the lips at that. Craig says, Varela has a really good reputation. Lot seeing us already at Fernandez's level. £18 million release clause, apparently it would be a coup. Getting him before he makes a big name for himself. Yeah, absolutely.
That will have likely been inserted when they renegotiate the contract in August then.
Answers, Wilson wasn't fully fit. No Isak away from home, but we still created the 2 big chances. No media has mentioned this, only the 2 missed penalties. I think Arteta used that to smooth over the cracks. Of course they are. They weren't good enough to break us down, and Arteta's never once come out and said that, or many Arsenal fans. As I said on the me video, Rich from over and over and over again, Arsenal podcast, he said it as it was. You know, he said that they weren't good enough to break us down, and that was clear that they weren't. But instead of looking at his own players as to why they didn't win the game, he blames everything else. Poor manager. Keith says, read this morning that Fresneda was being groomed to be a centre-half. Well, I don't think he will be coming into Newcastle as a centre-half. Craig says, loads looking at him. Real, AC, Barcelona, Benfica, Chelsea, to name a few. Exactly. But like we've always said, we're now shopping at the very top table of the transfer market instead of Wilco's and Pound Stretcher. We're right up there now in Harrods. Harrods, baby! And, it's up to the powers that be at Newcastle to persuade these players to come. Obviously, we know we've beaten AC Milan to Botman, so why can't we beat all the rest of them to Varela? We'll just have to wait and see.
I do think the other clubs are impressed with our scouting network and are jumping on whoever we're linked with. I do think that definitely happens.
Yeah. And they're worried about Newcastle now, Billy, coming in the equation. Whenever we're mentioned now as interested in the player, there is other teams will be worried because of what obviously the financial clout behind us. But it's not just that; it's the staff that we have persuading these players to come to the club. You never know. I mean, people have mentioned Keegan and Shearer and ambassadorial roles. Who are we to know that Amanda hasn't gone to them and said, "Look, have a chat with XYZ"? You just don't know. ASM is a 10. I don't know. I don't think ASM's a 10. Rich says, Billy, you'd worry me at a set of traffic lights.
The reason why I don't drive.
Rich says, I've heard Arsenal are going to twin with Salt Lake City. Nice. Sorry, Alex?
There just seems to be some truth in the whole alcohol/discipline thing. I think he had a couple of issues in the summer, potentially. But his contract was renegotiated at the end of the summer, so it appears that it's all water under the bridge. There's been representatives of the club come out and spoken and stuff. Apparently, he had a few issues. He arrived back training a few times, not in good condition. But and then there's big articles about how it's rife in the Argentinian leagues. All the youth players are just constantly going out drinking. It is what it is. He wouldn't be able to do that if he came over here. So
yeah, absolutely. But those issues could have now been dealt with. It may have well been. We don't know, obviously, how major those issues were, but they could have been put right straight away. He could have got the help that he needed straight away, and he's moved on from all that now. So there you go. Soli says, Tom, you and Billy should form your own formidable quiz duo team. And speaking of quizzes, we're going to have something new coming to TTR Friday as well, by the way. We're going to start doing a weekly quiz with you guys out there, getting you on and asking football trivia questions. And then we're going to sort of run that for a few weeks as a competition as well. We are going to swing TTR Friday as well towards general football talk as well. We'll still have our fun. Don't worry about that. But more so, and this week we're going to be talking about managers on the sidelines and things like that with the guys. So some good shows to come. So keep an eye out for them. Our pieces in our house, we call Arteta Pretty Boy with his designer eyebrows and his dyed black hair. Well, Alex knows all about that. But Alex doesn't wear quite as tight pants as what Arteta does. Thank God. Tom says, I did read something saying Varela likes to party. Well, he's Argentinian. Yeah. Hey, guys, what do you think about a cheeky bid for Rambat at Morocco, the Moroccan player?
He's been linked with lots of places, hasn't he?
No.
Yeah.
Liverpool or something like that. Do you know what he reminds me of? He's like a better version of Kevin Nolan to me.
It's an interesting comparison.
Yeah, interesting.
I'd rather just stay away from World Cup linked players, to be fair. I think you can find similar for cheaper. I'd rather we just stuck to our scouting plans and not just jumped on a bandwagon.
Excuse me. Foxy says Danilo, Varela, or João Gomez needed in that midfield with Bruno and Joe. Yeah, maybe. There's some good players out there.
João Gomez play.
Yeah, Conjo thinks we desperately need cover for the wings. Would also consider selling Maxi. Alex, shut your ears. Don't think Howe trusts him, hence only 5 minutes last night.
Oh,
It's interesting. I mean, you know, it is an interesting topic of conversation whether or not Eddie Howe actually trusts ASM to stay disciplined. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, he certainly trusted him against Man City at home, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
You know,
I
he
think
came in last night and defensively he was quite good. I just don't see the point in saying buying cover for wings and suggesting selling the best one we've got. It makes no sense to me.
Glenn Rocket says, hi guys, love a quiz me. George says we should go for Edson Alvarez, linked with him in the summer. Yeah, I think we did. He did feature in our transfer shows in the summer, but there's been nothing mentioned to him, certainly since this window's opened, nothing at all. Doug says Harrods, Paul, more like Fortnum and Masons with the extra money people expect from us. That's a good point. Very good point. Steve says, evening all, happy new year to all at the Toon Review. Thanks, Steve, and to you as well. Mason says, I wouldn't think signing a Mackham wouldn't go down well. Look, I mean, the young 16-year-old Sunderland player is it Chris Rigg? Fabulous player, really good player. And apparently he's a Newcastle fan, which I found out. So that would be interesting. But again, nothing substantial with that.
Most of them are deep down.
Well, of course they are. Of course they are. That'll cause it. That probably will cause a few replies. Sean says, why not have a Toon Review roadshow going to various venues, pubs for live shows? We have actually talked about that, Sean, actually, but it would take a lot of arrangements with Billy living in Coventry and Alex in near Northampton. It takes a lot of it would take a lot to do, but we will do one at some stage, or a couple definitely, because we know we have subscribers all over the country, so it would be really good to go and do a few road shows somewhere. Maybe we can get that sorted in the next coming months. It would be really good to do something like that. Foxy says, I find it unbelievable hearing Newcastle criticised for yesterday's performance from media and other fans. It's as if they expected us to go Keegan style and lose 4-3. It's embarrassing. Well, that's what I don't understand. I mean, complained that we're played defensive, but I think, Alex, you mentioned it last night, and Billy in commentary. What do they expect us to do? Just part like the Red Sea and say, "Oh, sorry, we didn't realise we'll let you get a couple of goals."
It's the double standard of it. The fact that Leeds did it to us, and we're expected to just move on, and we've done it to someone else, and it's apparently just not okay. It's the same thing. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
We couldn't match their technical quality. We had to change our play style. We dug deep and we got a point. What do they want us to do?
However, what I will say is,
for it.
what did we say after the Leeds game? You know, did we bitch on about Leeds? No. We said Leeds came and did a job, and did a job very well on us. We didn't go crying into our bloody cereals and stuff like that
Their official account was posting videos of them kicking the ball away and doing things which are not supposed to be done. And, you know, we've moved on. But, you know, because it's a Big Six club, They can't handle it.
Edson Alvarez is pure quality, but will cost an absolute bomb. Ajax are flush with cash and don't need to sell, and he's contracted until 2025. Maurice, good afternoon to you. Quiz question, says Ian. What ex-league club's ground is in 2 countries? I know this one.
Chester.
It's Chester, yeah. Billy, you took away me magic, man.
Sorry.
I was just about to say, I actually saw that on Footy Adventures videos. I don't know whether you've seen him on YouTube. He goes around the country. He's really, really brilliant, brilliant channel called Footy Adventures. Ben, I think his name is, or Sam. I'm not sure what his name is, but it's a brilliant channel. And I remember that from one of his videos. Mason says, sad news about David Gold. Indeed it is. Cesare says, a young 16-year-old Mackham still has time to learn to walk upright. Probably just needs to be shaved and taught to speak to fit into civilized society. I'd take him if he's good enough. Thanks, Cesare. You and Alex are really, well, we may as well upset someone.
At least we're having a go at the Mackhams and not China. It's a more manageable conflict.
I don't know what you mean, Alex. I'm always kind to other countries. Ian says, have you noticed ASM walking off the pitch instead of coming to see the fans with the rest of the squad in the last few matches? Yeah, he's done that quite a lot, and that is something that I think is wrong and should be addressed. Actually, it's not a nice thing. Even if he feels like he hasn't had long enough on the pitch or he's not played well, you've got to go and applaud your fans, especially.
He stayed on and walked and clapped the away fans against Arsenal.
Last night he did, yeah. Last night he did, but and Leeds, I think he went off. Listen, I don't care. I just want him on the pitch scoring goals or creating them. I really don't care. City have this problem all the time, and they find a way to beat teams. Champions do that, don't they? Well, we will in time. Bloody hell.
He's on about Arsenal, I think. I think he's on about Arsenal.
Yeah, Solly says exactly, Paul. TTR, we had our chances and we screwed them. That's us. That's on us. Arsenal didn't get the chances we did. Arsenal couldn't live with us and St James's Park in May. Meanwhile, we could have played for another 3 weeks and still kept a clean sheet against Clippity Mark II's boys. Clippity Mark II. Wow. Hey, guys, do you think we should sign Loris Karius as our number 2 goalkeeper? Now, there's conflicting reports that Karius has left the club, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Eddie Howe also said his name wrong in a press conference, which confused me. Called him Lorius.
Lorius, yes.
It's definitely not his name. I don't know. If anything, in my opinion, if anything official happens, the first place anywhere is that any club posts is Twitter. They all post Twitter first before anything else. So I would just keep an eye on the club Twitter page. And if nothing, because if he's gone, they would do a thank you post immediately, I would imagine. So I've not heard anything else, and I'm not in the know. No idea.
No. The big right hand says, Paul, my wife just made me a Ming and Sani crab paste. I asked where did she get it, and she said the chemist.
That's a Billy joke, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, no doubt about that. Brian says, hi, Toon Review fam. Can't get over all the saltiness from Arsenal. The chat between Shearer and Wright was class. I have a quiz question for Billy. Grimsby Town are a unique football club. Why?
I think it's because they've never played in Grimsby. I think they're playing Cleethorpes. I think that might be the answer. I don't know. I mean, when it gets in.
I know they do play in Cleethorpes, definitely. So
they've never played. They've never played in Grimsby. Yeah.
Yeah. Foxy says was asking for Varela to get looked at when mentioning Valentin Barco as well last August. Linda Lopez, good evening, says, Paul, let me help you with the pronunciation of Valladolid. In Spain, V is pronounced like a B and a double L is like a Y, hence Valladolid.
It's that's the dumbed down version of it, yeah.
Well, I prefer dumbed down version to what your versions are, Alex.
It's not a pure B. It's like a mixture of a B and a V together. It's not.
Real violated.
And it depends where you're from as well. So I lived in the south, so I would say my double L is like a jazz sound. So
it's on a Bruce Forsyth there, Paul.
Or South Americans would say they say their double L's as a sha.
To see you nice. Barbara says Newcastle v Arsenal. That home game will be different. I reckon we'll have a go at them at home. Of course we will, no doubt about it. It's just the way it is. We've got a lot. We've got a lot of vendettas to hammer out when certain teams come to St James's Park. Liverpool, Man United, obviously Arsenal. They've all got to come to the Cathedral on the Hill, and we'll give them a right rundown. Put it that way. Conrad says, "Good evening, everyone from Cape Town. Finally got my Castoria top. When did you order that? 3 years ago. When my brother came from Oz down under. Now I see what you talk about sizes. Why can't we hijack Amrat from Tottenham?" Well, he's not been mentioned. Just not been mentioned. And yes, congratulations to Michael Smith. What a darts final that was. I watched some highlights of it. Incredible. Brian says, "Spot on, Billy. The only club that doesn't play in their own town." Interesting. Yep. Could imagine an announcement of Carrier's future held back till the announcement of Dubravka and Darlow. Tom did put a while, I think it was Tom put a while, but Darlow's been linked with Middlesbrough again. I've always said that for me, Billy, would be a good move for Darlow.
Yeah, we've all said, haven't we? Ideal doesn't have to move his house or anything. Just goes back to a level where he probably should be at, which is Championship. Yeah, it makes perfect sense for him and for the club and for Middlesbrough.
Mikey says, Paul, Alex, and Billy were at least 10 squad players behind the corrupt 6. I'm not sure 10, but
it was also several places ahead of most of the top 6 as well.
Stiff Gator says, I can't wait for LFC to come to the Toon. I do want to ask you, Gators, where you got that username from, because I'm not sure whether it means that you're quite fond of an alligator with an erection, or is it a company name, or what is it? Let us know. I can't believe I just said alligator with an erection, but never mind. We'll step
you normally save them for your commentary.
Thanks, Alex. Yes. Ian, Mr. Spoon, said, we'll batter them all at the Toon, Paul. Absolutely, we will. Absolutely. Right. Who's our final name for tonight, Alex?
Nicolo Zaniolo.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not the best person to review this guy because I don't like him. I don't like this transfer at all. I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible because he's in a Mourinho team and I do like Mourinho. So he's at Roma at the moment. €89,000. Oh, we forgot to do the thing where we hover over. There we go. £78,000 a week apparently. That translates to. Drop my pen. Never mind. 23 years old. So good age, right profile. Contract expires in 2024. He plays good level. Have they played Champions League in recent seasons? I don't think they have. I think it's mostly just been the Europa League. Obviously, they won the Conference League under Mourinho. So he's got good pedigree. Plays for the Italian national team as well. So he's got a lot of experience for his age. To be fair, left-footed and is quite a unit. 6'2.5" according to this. So he is no small forward or small winger. If we scroll down, we should get some better combinations. So this is basing it on 1,800 minutes in the men's big 5 leagues, UCL, UEL, which is lovely. This is a much easier comparison. We can take a lot more. We can take this more seriously now because it's actually being compared against better standard players.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's performing similarly to Rashford, Sterling, Ferran Torres. So he's up against some. He's got linked with some good names there. Touches in the attacking penalty area is very, very high. Progressive passes received is very, very high. So he's obviously standing quite high up, receiving the ball quite high up. Not as deep. Shots are very, very, very high, to be fair, at 3.5 per 90 in the top 5% up there. That's quite ludicrous. Although, judging based on the formation, I think it's also fair to click on the forwards tab, which does change his stats somewhat.
Wow.
They play with a wonky wing-back system with him very high up. They actually just played. I think Roma just won 1-0 today whilst we've been live. So I actually watched the first half of that game, and I wasn't very impressed with Zaniolo, to be fair. So yeah, he's putting up reasonably good numbers. 3.35 shot creating actions per 90 is also very, very good. So let's go on to his sofa score so you can see kind of where he plays. Oh, if it wants to load. Here he is. So left forward, that's quite a high valuation. Let's down it. Scroll down to where they actually play. There we go. So they've just played. They literally just beat Roma today. They just beat Bologna, sorry. All right, lineups.
Thank you, Mr. Gators, for that. Interesting as to why you've ended up with stiff Gators, but that explains it.
Hang on, it's gone off. I'm losing me tabs. There we go. Here we go. So we've got a 3-4-3. This is Mourinho's new funny wing-back system he's used since he's been at Roma. Works very, very well. So he's not really an attacking midfielder because he's playing very high up, receiving the ball very high up all the time, pinging off lots of shots and setting up his teammates. So, yeah, I mean, everything I've described so far would imply he's a really good player. I just don't like him. He came off today for Tammy Abraham, I believe. He came off with an injury. I'm not sure what was wrong with him because I'd already clicked off by that time. And this is the kind of sort of position he plays in as a left forward in a wonky wing back system. How did he do today? So he did play an hour.
Zoom in a touch, Alex, please.
Yes, there we go.
Thank you.
So 0.4 XG today with 2 shots on, 2 shots off. 18 touches. He wasn't very involved today. Didn't touch the ball much. A few duels, but still managed to get a couple of shots away. Possibly could have done better with his. Oh, they've included a shot map. They're trying to do the FOT mob thing on SofaScore. They keep adding things to it. And let's go and have a look at another one of his games for the sake of variety. Scored a bunch in these club friendlies after the World Cup. Whilst they were still going on, but difficult. They did play some dross, to be fair. I'm not sure where Casapia AC play. I do apologise, guys, but yeah. So Italy games as well. Let's go back to his last Roma game, which was against Torino. So yeah, in a still the same system. Yeah. Just when obviously Tammy Abraham plays, he's more of a focal point of the attack, so he plays in a slightly deeper role. But I have seen lots of variations of this where Zaniolo is higher. It just depends on who's available. What else have we got? We've got his injury history, which is another reason why I don't want him. This is abysmal. God. Considering the amount people whinge about Wilson, Isak, and Maxi, he had 2 cruciate ligament ruptures.
2 ligament. Wow.
We're 1920 and 2021. Zoom in a little bit more.
Christ, he was out there. Bloody...
Yeah, so he's been out a lot with ligament problems. And then there's just a lot of random stuff. Fatigue, knee, calf, unknown, muscular, hip flexor, shoulder was his most recent one, was out for nearly a month, 6 games missed. That frustrates me. Again, he might get a transfer and not have any issues, but Adobe's just throwing me off StreamYard. Get off. There we go. And then his agent, they are Vigor Global Sports Services, SRL, whoever that is. They don't have all their information logged for some reason. But one of Billy's favourite players is the second highest value player, the Gnonto from Leeds. He's on their books, contracted till 2027 with Leeds. But Zaniolo is their highest valued player that they represent. So he's going to cost quite a lot, I would imagine. He's a 23-year-old attacking player in Mourinho's Roma who were doing quite well in Serie A. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but he's a good player. I'm not that interested. I'm just not. I'm not bothered.
Well, after seeing his injury record, and you said you've seen him play a little bit, Alex, recently, and you're not impressed.
He's all right. He's all right. And this is what I said before we went live. He's all right. And that's it. He's all right. I'd rather, there's some players we look at and we're like, oh God, yeah, he could be. Oh wow, if we put him in this team, this could happen. And whereas I just look at Zaniolo and I'm just like, oh. But yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe somebody like Foxy could explain something I'm missing because I'm not particularly interested in him as a player. So
yeah, there is rumours starting to come around that Chelsea are hijacking the Mudryk deal.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So that'll piss Arsenal off even more. Oh, because we know that Mudryk is definitely wanted by Arsenal, and that would be hilarious.
Well, there's also rumours that Fresneda is on the Arsenal scouting list. So we could really ruin their January, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian says, I agree with Alex. I don't fancy him as he isn't a massive upgrade on what we have. Yeah.
I mean, he is, though. He's phenomenally better than Fraser and Murphy. He is.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about Fraser and Murphy, I think Ian's talking about, others. But
and he's got a lot more experience than Maxi. He's played in a lot more European competitions, played a lot for his national team. I'd just rather go somewhere else.
Yeah, indeed. Well, there you go, guys. That is the transfer show done and dusted for another night. Now, that's not to say that more news won't come out later on, or more news won't come out tomorrow, of course. If it does, you will hear about it on this channel. Very exciting times ahead. But thank you very much for watching. Again, fantastic viewing figures. Over 850 of you joined us today, which is incredible for a 5 o'clock show. We really do appreciate that. But this month is going to really, really build up. Tomorrow, there is another. Obviously, I'll bring a video out if needs be with any news. Tomorrow night, we've got the Sheffield Wednesday versus Newcastle match preview. So we'll have a look at the teams and see what Eddie Howe might do for the lineup for the game, and of course our predictions, and we'll get yours as well. Friday night, TTR Friday. We'll be discussing the managers and the behaviour on the sidelines and things like that, and how we can improve that and stop the likes of Klopp and Arteta barking in the manager's ears. Because I heard a very good phrase, I think it was this morning, saying that Arteta was trying to manage Arsenal and referee the game at the same time. That has to stop. You need to concentrate on their own teams and things like that, and all sorts of stuff. But of course, we're going to finish tonight talking about somebody that was very, very special to this channel, of course. And that was Mr. Dave Harrison. 1 year since Dave has passed away. It's really, really sad and upsetting that Dave hasn't got to see the form Newcastle United are in this season. Dave watched Newcastle United for many, many, many years. And I think it's fair to say that he would have loved being inside St. James's Park watching the football that we're playing now. He watched some very, very good players over his time watching Newcastle, but I don't think he ever saw quite the team that we've got now, Billy. And it's such a shame. But, he always wanted to see a takeover happen. He saw that happen before he passed, of course. But it's just a shame that he's not here to see the rise that we've made.
Yeah, he passed just at the time where we were just about to take off with the transfers that brought us to where we got to at the end of last season, from a remarkably low position to up into the top half of the table. We did a show, didn't we, on a former channel of mine, and one we used to work on, picking the team that Dave would have picked as his all-time top team. I think if we were to do that show now, and if he'd have seen the players we've had since, I think 4 or 5 of them would be different now. And Dave has missed that. But as I say, he's watching from up there, and I've said a few times, little flicks of the ball go our way into the net. And I'm sure Dave's got something to do with that. He's a passionate, sensible, knowledgeable gentleman that supported our club. He was a fantastic ambassador for us.
Yeah, he was a wonderful, wonderful man. And going to the games, I used to love just walking up to that stadium, and then as soon as I turned the corner, there was Dave with his bucket, raising money for the food bank. And everybody knows about that time that this dog appeared from nowhere and started rattling me ankles. And I thought it was Dave's dog at the time, but it wasn't. It was just some random dog. But I think, when you talk about sort of putting the ball in the net, Billy, I think the times of last night, just keeping Arsenal out, you think, it's his passion for Newcastle United, his passion for archery were incredible. And I think but his passion for life, and his passion for meeting new people, and his passion for, thinking of others before himself. It was always others that he thought of before himself. There were so many times that, if we were in Newcastle and I'd got the train through and it was terrible weather, Dave would say, "Oh, I'll take you home." all the way back to Durham and then drive back to where he lived. And he always used to think of himself like that. And, I remember a particular night meeting Peter Beardsley at the Irish Centre with Steve Wraith had put it on, and we'd met Pedro and stuff, and Barry was there as well, and the Metros were off because the weather was absolutely horrendous, and he took Barry and his mate back to Whitley Bay in absolutely terrible weather conditions. He was again. It's just what the man was like. He just put everybody first. His love for Danielle was incredible. He was like a grandfather to Danielle, who obviously classed him as a grandfather, and he was just he was always speaking to her every day. And I know Danielle still to this day still talks to him, just talks to him. Which comforts Danielle, and Dave will be listening. He'll be listening to it all, and I just, it would have been fantastic for him to see the rise of the club and the rise of the channel himself. Because Dave, I watched the last night. I watched the 7K Q&A, which was just a year ago. To think we were only on 7,000 subscribers a year ago, and when he put that suit on, and it was the night before he passed away. And it was just, there was a question came up on that saying, how's your health? Asking us both how our health was. And then Dave said, oh, I'm fine. I've had this horrible chest infection for months now. And I honestly think that had something to do with his passing in the end. It just wouldn't clear. And unfortunately, it was his demise. But at the same time, he's left his family, he's left his friends with wonderful memories of him as well, though. When his family showed me photos and things like that at his funeral, and just what he achieved in his life was very, very, very special. And you don't get special men like Dave very often. Once in a lifetime, you'll get somebody as special as him who just dedicated everything to other people. He was happy to see everything good in people's lives, and when people weren't going through good things in life, he was always there. That trolling I had all that many moons ago, he was there for me. And he was there for you, Billy, when you got it. And Alex, he sort of took you. He's what you remember him from the early days of you coming on the fan forums and things like that.
Yeah, it was. It was in a period of time where we still weren't great, we weren't performing well, and I was, I am who I am with my stats and watching a lot of games, and I was seeing certain things in certain players and suggesting, maybe this player could be this, or maybe this guy's okay if we give him a chance, and I often got shot down. It's easy nowadays because we're playing so well. When I say these things about players, it's easy because we're playing so well. Whereas when we were terrible, trying to say these things, people would obviously shoot you down. When you're trying to say, look, the stats suggest this player is actually okay. And Dave would be the only one to try, and he was very balanced and very wise in that, and would always try and see 2, 3, 4 different sides to the same story, and be very, very sort of analytical and just experienced with his opinions, very diplomatic. And it was something I tried to take into how I conduct myself on the channel now. So I learned a lot from him in a very short space of time.
Yeah, I mean, when Julie and her Dave used to come up, Dave was so delighted to see them, and we've got photos of all of us together, and they'll remain very, very special to me, to Julie, to Danielle. He's just a kind of Superman. He really was, and he had in the end, he had a lot of health issues, but he put them behind him, as I say, to talk about other people first. People used to love coming up to us at the games. They thought we were a proper comedy act, the two of us. And I'll never forget what he's done for this channel as well. Me and him hosting the shows, and like you said, Alex, he spoke so much sense, and he spoke with so much heart. He was never nasty about anybody. He always seemed to try and find the good in people, even though they were having a dig at Newcastle or whatever. Even if Newcastle weren't playing very well, he always had a really friendly attitude to everything and wouldn't want to put anybody out of place. Everybody can go back and watch that show we did on the night, the night after he passed away. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I broke down numerous times on that show because of just how special he was to me. He was very special to other people as well. I had an incredible relationship with Dave, and I miss him so badly every day. I miss the laughs. I miss him just being there to put me right when I'm going off on one. Danielle took over that mantle to an extent, but Dave was always there. And if I remember the whiskey stuff, Billy, when I said about Jack Daniels, and he absolutely crucified me for that. It's the memories that he gave me and the memories that he's given so many other people will be treasured by me for life. They really will. He's that kind of guy that you will never forget. I always go back and watch old shows of Dave being on there, and it's just very, very, very special. He's a wonderful man, and he will never be forgotten by this channel, by me, by all the other people who he touched. It's sad. It's a very sad, but at the same time, now a year down the line, you look back and you think, what a lovely life he led. What a fantastic life he led. With the archery was very special to him, as well as Newcastle United. But the friends he made through YouTube, through social media, through Newcastle United, are friends that are now all grouped together and will stay friends for life. And Dave had a lot to do with that. And I can't really put this guy in more high regards than that. He was just a wonderful, wonderful man. And it really sort of breaks my heart to talk about him, but at the same time, I just have to keep talking about him, because if you don't, then that's wrong, because he's just a big part of my life, big part of Julie's and Danielle's and all of ours, Billy, yours as well, and Alex, and everybody that knew him just loved him. And that was the thing. It just heartbreaking when he went. But you know what? He'd be looking down now saying, Paul, shut up. Get on with it. Stop being an idiot. He was always there to put me right. And I will miss him forever, no doubt about that. But he was a very, very special man indeed. And love to him up in that sky. And I hope he's proud of what we're achieving on here now, as well as what the team is. So, Dave, you'll never be forgotten. And I love you, man. But there you go. That is the show for today. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Fantastic viewing figures again. Please don't forget to hit the like button when you do leave. And also, obviously, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Well on the way to 16K. We'll be there very soon, judging by the amount of subscribers going up on an hourly basis at the moment, which is fantastic. Thank you to the mods again for a wonderful job with the chat. And thank you to Alex and Billy for their company. But as usual, guys, a big thanks to you for watching, for being members, for super chatting, everything. It's just fantastic. We've got a $10 super chat from Seattle Geordie. R.I.P. Canny lad. Even in heaven, he will be looking down with a bucket in hand and shaking his head while smiling at the stretching like a condom. What a class act. God bless. Thank you very much, Seattle. Stu says, I'm just pleased I had the pleasure of meeting him, albeit online. I still considered him a good friend. It was impossible not to like Dave. Yeah, everybody loved him. But there you go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back live tomorrow night, but keep your eye open for some videos coming out. But we'll be previewing the FA Cup game against Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow and seeing if there's any changes that Eddie might make. But in the meantime, have a great evening, guys, and we'll catch you very soon. Good night.
Oh, wait, that's